back here on First Things First. We're going viral. So we all know LeBron's an incredible player. What we may not have known, or what we did find out, was his weakness. Take a look at this. A picture of LeBron's hair resembling the Liberty Bell.
Says LeBron to the Sixers.
Maybe there are some truth to the rumors of him going to Philadelphia.
Man.
Wait, what happened?
That's just he's going bald. There's nothing happened. I mean, that's his bald spot.
How come I've never noticed it like that.
Well, I mean, it's gotten
That can't
bigger.
be what his bald.
That is what it says.
No, that's
Have you ever noticed when we have our meetings and everything in the morning?
Oh,
Yeah.
you better watch where you're going with this.
And then we both go to wardrobe. You know, you go get your stuff. Christine has your stuff laid out.
Yes.
And then we come down this hallway and everything.
Yeah.
And then Nick sits down. You're like, damn, who was that guy? Where'd all that facial stuff come from?
Is this
We're
not
going
real?
to the game tonight, and we're gonna propose a product that I use on the top of my head. Just make sure the people can only see the waves and not a little deficiency. Nick on his beard, just a little bit, just to tighten it up, make it a little bit darker. We're gonna bring a blow bottle. It's a little bottle. Try to hand it to LeBron before the game tonight, so he can cover up the Liberty Bell. It's called smoke. A little bit of paint so the world won't know what we ain't. It's cool.
Guess what?
It's cool.
The world now knows.
I mean, it's cool.
The world now knows.
LeBron's got to be careful, though, because he's missing so much. You don't ever want to go full boozer. Remember the Carlos Boozer game? When he just looked like he had put a full can of shoe polish on his head? Can't do that. LeBron's embracing the bald spot to a degree. It's a little
He's revealing it slowly to us. Over the last year and a half, he's revealing more. Now it's the Liberty Bell. Next week, it'll be
Texas.
Yes.
Texas, Lone Star State.
I can't believe
shave
you
it.
said what you said to America. And the fact that you snitched on yourself, too, took away all my ammunition. You 8-miled me. It's unbelievable. I was ready. I'm right back at you. You took
Now,
it from me.
one of our biggest stories this morning, we learned that both CC and Nick both spray in their hair and beard to make them look more manly on the show. I don't spray in anything. Thank you very much.
But you get a
Anyway,
resurrection.
this
Jesus
morning,
touched your hair.
yesterday, Patrick Reed clinched his first career major by winning the Masters, still saying words. Entering Sunday, Reed held a 3-shot lead, and then yesterday he played unevenly, but was able to hold on by shooting a 1-under par 71. He needed to par to win the whole thing. There it was. CC, what did you make of Reed's performance?
Incredible performance. You're talking about a really talented golfer in an era where we haven't seen this many 20-year-old players around the world that are phenomenal and playing well. It's not about potential. He's one of those guys that has been right there close at the majors, not been able to get through. He's most famously known for the battle that him and Roy had in Minnesota at the Ryder Cup. Epic battle going back and forth, back and forth. He was able to win that singles match, which propelled the USA to a victory. So he's there on the national stage, and he is there to stay.
Man, I'm happy for him. I was rooting for Ricky Fowler. Ricky Fowler now he's finished second in every major except the PGA, where he's finished third. He had a year, I think it was 2015, where it might have been 2014, but regardless, where he was top 5 in all 4 majors and still hasn't won one. I thought when he made that charge late, and all of a sudden Patrick Reed had a really tough putt on 17, but he damn near holds the putt on 17, gets lucky that it's the flag, slows it down a little bit, and he ends up going par to win the Masters. Like, he deserved to win. He'd been the best throughout the week. I was pulling for Ricky
It's an incredible time in golf. Phil's playing well, didn't see it this weekend. Tiger's back playing well, didn't see it this weekend. But these young guns, these guys playing in their 20-something.
How nice and gracious was Ricky Fowler afterwards? Waited there, gave him a big...
He's that kind of guy. He's one of the most popular guys on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, they love that. The Giancarlo Santon era in the Bronx is off to a very slow start. Random accent. Over the weekend, he became the first player in over 100 years, 100 years to go hitless with 5 strikeouts in 2 games in the same season. First player to do anything in 100 years, kind of a big deal. Go.
No, I want people to understand what you just said, Jenna. Not the first player to do that.
Nope.
In the first 10 games or 15. In a whole season, no one's done it. Stanton's done it. The weather, it's not even warm in New York yet.
Less than 10 games.
I mean, he's done it already. And so, like, it's...
No, he's struggling. He's batting 167, 20 Ks in 10 games. Currently on pace for, I did the math in my head. Also, Brumley gave it to me, 324 strikeouts. Not great. So, CC, what do you make of Stanton's struggles? You're a Yankee fan. You know how hard it is to play in New York when it's cold. Are you worried yet?
Well, I'm worried about Brum gave you the numbers. And if it came from Brum's sister, because she the brains of the operation, which means I got to get Dusty and Nick to double-check those numbers and everything.
Okay.
I'm not concerned. We've seen superstars that have gone to New York. It's a hard transition. The New York media, the spotlight being on you, it's different playing in New York. You can't act as if that wouldn't affect you. But also, let's think where he came from. He came from Miami. I looked at the weather yesterday in Miami. It was 87. All right, yesterday here, 37. All right, so the big difference in climate and him playing those cold conditions, I believe, has helped led to him striking out a little bit more. As it starts to get a little bit warmer, I'm sure he's going to hit himself out of this, Nick.
Listen, he's going to be a high strikeout guy. He's always been a high strikeout guy, not to this degree this early, but also one thing Stanton's always been is a guy who will catch fire and all of a sudden hit 13 home runs in 17 games. Like, that absolutely will happen. It's important Yankee fans be patient with him, because you're going to get him for a long
That's
time.
funny.
You got 9 years, $270 million left of Giancarlo Stanton. So throwing him out after 10 games ain't great, but I understand. To already have 2 hitless 5 strikeout games is unprecedented, as Jenna mentioned.
All right, yesterday the Warriors beat the Suns, but the team hasn't been playing well. 7-9 in their last 16 games, with only a few future Hall of Famers in the lineup, not all 4. Also, head coach Steve Kerr criticized the team's defense and effort last week. Nick, what do you make of the Warriors' performance without Steph? You've changed your tune a little bit down the stretch here.
It ain't great, as they say, and one underrated edge the Warriors have had the last 3 years in the postseason is a mental edge going into every game and every series. A team could be up 13 and feel like they're up 2. Like the ability for the quick strike, a game's never over. All of a sudden, if they play Oklahoma City in the first round, if they play Minnesota with Jimmy Butler back in the first round, I wonder what type of mental edge they have when those teams almost assuredly will have been playing just to get into the playoffs, and the Warriors will have been playing their worst month of basketball in any time in the last 4 years. Like, I still think they should win their first round series. They will have Kevin Durant, they will have Klay Thompson, but they look shaky for the first time, really, since they were down 3-1 against OKC.
Jenna, what did we see the last time Steph Curry hurt his ankle when he came back?
He was lights out on fire.
Okay, that's exactly what we're going to see in the playoffs. So I'm not concerned about them playing without Steph. He's that kind of player. You don't lose that type of player and expect the productivity, especially when you have 4 superstars. You know that your bench is going to be limited. You know your player development is going to be limited because you're going to be playing with a few veterans and a bunch of young guys with no experience. So you knew it would suffer. So how you ever sustain that? Either Quinn Cook, he develops late. I believe that to be a positive. But our boy, goodness gracious, Nick Young. Nick Young, I thought he was going to be a super sub. He hadn't been that for them. But coming off the bench, his 3-point shooting, you thought that that was a perfect match going to Golden State. It hasn't been. So there's some other things, one positive, one negative that I am getting from Golden State.
All right, just 2 months after Philly became the best team in football, Philly now poised to do the same in basketball. They got a big win over the Cavs on Friday night. Sunday, they followed it up with a win over the Mavs. Their 14th in a row. Philly currently sits as a 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. Nick, how much of a threat are the 76ers to Cleveland in the East?
CC, 6 weeks ago, when people were really high on Toronto, when Kyrie was healthy, who's the team that I said is the only team that I think could give the Cavs some trouble?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
The matchups.
The matchups, the amazing progress of Joel Embiid from a guy who's going to be really good to a guy who already is arguably the best center in the league. Well, since then, Ben Simmons has taken it to another level. Now, part of their record since Embiid's been out, winning 6 of these 14 since Embiid's been out, has been their competition. But Cleveland's mixed in there, and they were up 30 on Cleveland.
That's the only quality win that you can say with Embiid being out is the one over Philly.
But the thing is this, what it has allowed is Ben Simmons' usage rate has gone up, and he is orchestrating everything. He's a fringe all-NBA performer. And then they've done a good job building the rest of the lineup. 3-and-D guys in Robert Covington, a sniper in J.J. Redick. Dario Saric has been good. And now Fultz is coming off the bench. This is a really good basketball team. There's a reason they have the second best record in the NBA since Christmas. Like, I don't think they have enough experience to beat the Cavs. I don't think they have enough experience to win 3 rounds in the playoffs. But to me, after Cleveland, they're the most dangerous team in the Eastern Conference.
We also talk so much about turning up defense, and this is what I'm learning from you guys, that it just happens. How good has this Philadelphia defense been? During this stretch, they've had, like, the league's best defense. They've really, really played well, and they don't have Joel Embiid back yet.
Right, and you have to give their coach a lot of credit for that. They have played spectacular defense. That's not something NBA that we're going to talk about. Now, they're a team that we don't have to. Like the Cavs say, oh, they're going to up their intensity on the defensive end. When they get Joel Embiid back, I believe this experience playing without him, it will only help them. But my biggest concern about Philadelphia is, will they get the whistle? You have to beat, in the NBA, you have to beat the opposition, beat the opponent, but also you have to beat the referees, especially when you have a superstar on the other team. LeBron, KD, Harden, Russ, and Steph. Those are the only guys that you know the whistle will be slanted in their favor. The refs are not going to let you assault or just ride them up and down the court or have unusually heavy amounts of contact with them. Philadelphia, you're saying Joel Embiid's going to get that? And the first time they've been in the playoffs since 2001? I don't believe that. That the striped shirts in the playoffs, they ref the games totally different. And with him being a dominant post player, is he going to get those calls that the other superstars will get because they play on the perimeter and also drift inside? So that's something that I'm concerned about. I know it's a real thing in the playoffs, and the refs will hold their whistle, especially against a young team.
That's a good point. All right, sticking with the Cavs and the Sixers after trailing by 30 on Friday. Cleveland almost mounted the comeback of all comebacks. However, LeBron missed 2 free throws late. He's shooting 8 for 17 from the line in the final 10 seconds of a one-possession game this season. That's the worst percentage in a season in the last 20 years. CeCe, what do you make of LeBron's struggles at the line?
It's not good. This is not new information. If you look at LeBron James's game and the people who want to criticize him, there's several things that they go to. Number one thing that they go to is his disappearance in the finals against the Dallas Mavericks.
Fair.
They always talk about that, him going into the corner, him just drifting away from the game, him seeming like this wasn't the NBA Finals, like this is just a normal, another NBA series of games. And he's always criticized for that. Number 2 would be his overall lack of a winning record in championships. If you look at Magic, Kareem, the other great players besides Wilt Chamberlain, all those players, for the most part, had a winning record in NBA Finals, with the benchmark being either Bill Russell, for those who talk about the greatest champion, or Michael Jordan and him going 6-0. The third thing would be his free throw shooting. Like, you would not expect an offensive player as good as him, who is not a 6'10" or above. Typically, you see 7-footers. They have free throw shooting problems. But to me, one of the greatest scorers ever, the greatest offensive player ever, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Look at his free throw percentage compared to LeBron's. Like, you wouldn't think that a 7-footer could shoot free throws as good as LeBron. And the great players typically shoot about 79 to 82%. And you close out so many games because if you get to the rim, either I'm going to make it or get fouled to be able to close you out. And that's a question that LeBron, he can't answer.
Listen, this year, it's a fair criticism. Those numbers are slightly misleading to 8 for 17 because 2 of those were intentionally missed because the team was down by more than 1. But 8 for 15 ain't great.
No.
And
was the first intentional one, did he miss that after missing the free throw? Or
I think the first intentional one was in a situation where he was fouled down 3 and he only had 2 free throws. Make the first, miss the second. But regardless, no matter what it is, it ain't great. And LeBron, listen, LeBron for his career is a 74% free throw shooter. That's not great. Michael Jordan for his career is an 83% free throw shooter. That's better. Those 9% matters. Those 9% percentage points matter.
Well, there's a huge difference.
Yeah, of course there is. That's what I'm saying. Like, it is an absolutely fair criticism that is the part of his game. It is more similar to the Hall of Fame centers. Kareem was 72%. Like, Duncan was in the mid-60s. LeBron should be closer to the mid-80s than the mid-70s. It is the one flaw in his offensive game. But if I can say that, then people on the flip side of the coin have to also be able to say this. While over the course of his career, he's been an average free throw shooter, in the most clutch moments, which is what that stat's about,
right,
he's been as good as anybody. Game 7 of the NBA Finals in 2016, he hit the free throw to seal the game. Game 7 of the NBA Finals in 2013, he hit the 2 free throws to seal the game. In those games, by the way, Game 7 of the NBA Finals, he was 16 of 19 from the free throw line. Like, LeBron missing free throws to cost himself a championship, that has never happened.
Just seems like an easy shot to practice.
I'm sure he practices it, Jenna.
Then he's such a good, I don't know. Coming up, is it time to forget about trading Odell Beckham Jr.? It's next on First Things First. Just practice all day for like